Cowabunga, dudes! Just got back from a birthday party at Chuck E. Cheese's, and while the years have not been kind to the gal, the same cannot be said about the hot single moms you will find throughout. And whilst I was digging for gold, happened to walk past an old gem in the form of the very first Ninja Turtles arcade game. Well, slap my ass and call the police on me for indecent exposure, cause once I start working that joystick, you know I ain't letting go till it's over. And so, we are going on a most excellent adventure with our boys in green. Leonardo, Donatello, Raphael, and Venus de Milo. The Shredder is up to no good, kidnapping April O'Neil and those delicious meat puppies popping out from her tight yellow onesie in this gnarly arcade game that's pure 90s nostalgia despite coming out in 1989. This is Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Or Hero Turtles if you're a UK fan. No one should need an introduction. The Ninja Turtles franchise is beloved worldwide. Only uncultured swine would need an explanation as to who the four brothers are. However, younger viewers may not fully grasp how big this series was during its moment in the sun. Back in December of '87, Playmates Toys commissioned Toy Animation to put out a 5-part OVA based on the comic, but softened for a younger audience in order to prime them for the upcoming toy launch. Ironically, this also increased every local martial arts school's class size. The second parents found out we actually wanted to participate in the sport, combined with a lot of us getting into fights in school while pretending to be the characters, many of us found ourselves enrolled at strip mall dojos within the month. So now we've all got the VHS, we've got the comics, we've even got our yellow belt, and all of a sudden the toys drop. And these were the coolest fucking things on the playground. You could open up the back to store their weapons, also weed, everyone had to have them, and then boom, Season 1 officially drops for real. Now shit is exploding, the Pokemon of its day. You've got the show, the comic, the toys, and then bam, Konami drops this sick arcade game right in our laps. It was a great time to be alive. And then Bill Clinton got elected. You fucking retards. Jumping in, this one may look like Turtles in Time, but it plays much different, much slower, much simpler, but ironically a bit more animated in places, which turns out to be to its detriment. Because gameplay aside, I legitimately love how smooth the animation is in this game. But it also has too many frames, too much delay on attacks, not enough collision detection. It doesn't make it unplayable by any means, but there are a handful of moments where this game will unfairly gouge you for coins because of it. I was also a bit of a dummy, choosing to play as Mikey for this run to be a bit more authentic. Raph may be many people's go-to fave in the current timeline, but this game came out a year before the live-action movie was released, establishing Raphael's Prince Vegeta complex that we all know and love today. But in context to the first cartoon run, Raph sucked. We all know Leonardo leads and Donatello does machines, but Michelangelo was the cool funny guy that everyone loved and lined up to play as, leaving Raph in last place because he was a sarcastic prick and also the character you associated with the terrible NES game. So when I saw him take a beatdown in theaters as a child, I cheered. Mostly joking, but could you imagine someone's shitty kid doing that?
Woo, beat his ass. I hope he never wakes up from that coma.
I give you Exhibit A. Point being, when it comes to balance, Mikey is basically the worst guy you can choose. Leo is the all-around character, Don has his range, Raph has speed, but Mike, he can jump kick. He's great as a support character when you need to clear out a bunch of enemies from a room that are surrounding you, but when you're soloing against some of these bosses, you are going to get fucked no matter what you do. There is a way to compensate, although it feels a bit cheesy at times. Since this is an early beat-em-up, you've got a special attack that can be done with jump and attack at the same time. Pretty simple, it's in a lot of these games. But this one does not penalize you by draining life like in those similar games, and if used right, this can basically serve as a one-hit bitch slap to clear the room really fast if you are ever overwhelmed. It feels cheesy as hell, but sometimes in single player, you are just gonna have to suck it up and play like a lame-ass dweeb. What's not lame is the weapons these guys bring, cause this game came out early enough to sneak by the complaints that would soon come in from parents around the country, forcing the series to lean much more child-friendly. Seriously, we went from Shredder being crushed to death in a dump truck on screen to Michelangelo using combat cold cuts within a year. But in this game, Rocksteady does in fact have his fully auto AK. In fact, lots of people brought guns and knives. A few smartasses even brought large explosives. It's completely stupid and I love it. It also shows a lot of creativity on Konami's part, given how little material they were given to work with. Going back to that NES game, real talk, I actually love that shit. It's fun, the water level is easy. Anyone who says otherwise is a bitch. To the point, one of the bigger complaints is the enemy roster being too random, and barely connected with the animated show, when they were literally working with material from several versions of the story. The NES game was a weird amalgamation of the show, the comic, and that weird RPG module from '85. Side note, at some point we need to have a discussion about Ninja Turtles being the true catalyst for furries, because they quite literally wrote the rulebook on how to create a fursona. It even lets you roll for sexual deviancy and mental illness debuffs. Anyway, this game had to keep everything tight to the OVA, which really helped the brand identity. You got the Foot Clan, some Mousers, those weird wheelie bots, Bebop and Rocksteady, Baxter, the Rock Guys, Krang and Shredder, and that is it. Even the story keeps it blunt and straightforward. Already mentioned that the game starts with you rescuing April. It happens a lot, but she's hot, can turn into a cat girl, simps are gonna simp. So we shrug it off and run into that burning building just for the chance she might play with our fire hose. Defeat the first boss, she gets kidnapped again. Bitches, that's just how they be. So we Mario over to the other castle to get our princess. We succeed this time, but now Splinter's been kidnapped, so rinse and repeat, we rescue him now, before heading off for the final confrontation at the Technodrome. And this last stupid little detail I kinda love, never really got it as a child. But long story short, Shredder gets killed off pretty fast in the original story. It was a gag comic, they did not think it would go this far. So they legit had to clone this guy in comic using mutant space worms or something. I don't really know the science behind it, but it all sounds perfectly plausible and not at all dumb. Point being, this battle almost feels like an homage to that storyline since it's not something they could do in a kids show. You fight the real Shredder, and as the battle goes on, he starts sending out clones of himself. It's kinda neat, and not too bad of a quarter muncher considering you really are meant to be playing this with a friend. That being said, when this game came out, they had no idea if the show would go beyond Season 2, so in keeping on theme, after defeating the Shredder, we leave his unconscious body behind while escaping the exploding Technodrome, leaving him to burn to death painfully, assuming he wasn't vaporized in the blast. And that be Ninja Turtles, a tiny bit old and basic, but still very enjoyable, if only for the 20 to 30 minutes it'll take to run it. Had a very random urge to play this one, and while a lot of it was nostalgia, I really do think it's just because Turtles in Time has overshadowed this one so much. Obviously, that game is superior in every way, but it really was cool getting to go back and just one-shot this. There's enough going on to validate a playthrough. Again, these games may be shorter to play than the time it takes to make the actual video, but that's kind of the best thing about them. A video game should be a quick escape, not a second job. And where will we be escaping to next? Probably Super Dodgeball, but that's gonna be an Ami vid. So, till then, a thank you to everyone who watched, and another thank you to everyone grabbing up those adopts, and I will see you in Dimension X.